a lot of concern for Zion. It was funny. I was watching this Mountain Dew commercial with him and Jason Tatum.
Your mom called. You're not invited to Thanksgiving.
What's this dude talking about?
Now, here's Williamson. That sure won't help your 2K rating, Zion.
Bruh.
And he was looking a little plump. I know a lot of people, when you see a picture on
Zach
Twitter.
Levine, right? So they were like sitting on a couch.
Yeah. Oh, Zach Levine?
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah. And it's one thing to see a post on Instagram of him looking like Booger McFarlane or him on Reddit, with a hoodie, but an actual commercial, and he had like his goatee, and I was like, that looking a little chunky. But
let me put you on game.
Anyway, what's your third observation?
It's a tough one. Zion.
Yeah,
he's recently had another setback with his foot. He's gonna have to get an injection in order to promote healing in it, and it's just not looking great. Reports had him allegedly reaching 330 pounds this offseason, which is a lot for someone who's 6'7". So I was in the, I think we talked about it pre-pod. I was in the camp with him coming out of Duke that he didn't need to lose weight. And I still think that's correct. I still think the weight that he was at Duke, which is what, 270-ish, 275, I think that was a good weight for him. I think he was bigger than most basketball players, but I still think he was pretty lean. And maybe he could have lost another 10 to 15, depending on what the trainers think. But I think what we've seen from Pelicans Zion is a player that is playing at too heavy of a weight. I'm not here to fat shame. I don't think he's fat by any means, or I'm not a fan of people taking screenshots of him walking around in a sweatsuit or photoshopping construction gear onto him as he steps down from the podium. Like, I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. But I do think the NBA season is long. It's 82 games. You're running 3 to 5 miles a game. You're jumping constantly. It's a lot of pressure on your knees if you're a heavy person. And it sucks for Zion because his weight and his strength is part of what makes him such a good player. It's the reason why, along with his craftiness, that he's able to shoot, 70% on the season. And the reason he's so explosive is because he has so much like muscular strength in his legs. But I think we're seeing where him and the nutritionist and the Pelicans are going to have to make a choice as for how they want him to play, because I don't know if his current weight is sustainable for his success. And then on top of that, you've got issues with him and the organization. And there's alleged, tension between the family and the organization. And there's doubts as to whether or not he wants to resign. So there's just so much surrounding Zion that is a huge question. And you have to also wonder, like, it was the right pick at the time, but Memphis looks like they got potentially the better player, because I think that Zion may be more talented than Ja when he plays, but the issue with Zion is he going to play? So if Ja comes out and actually has a 12 to 15 year career, and then Zion, goes the way of Greg Oden, or if he's just, like a Derrick Rose kind of player where he's a bright star in the beginning and then he just turns into like a good player, like, you have to wonder, did the Pelicans make the right choice? But they didn't know at the time, but it still looks worrisome considering where his body is at right now.
Yeah, a lot of concern for Zion. It was funny. I was watching this Mountain Dew commercial with him and Jason Tatum.
Your mom called. You're not invited to Thanksgiving.
What's this dude talking about?
Now, here's Williamson. That sure won't help your 2K rating, Zion.
Bruh.
And he was looking a little plump. I know a lot of people, when you see a picture on Twitter.
Levine, right? So they were like sitting on a couch?
Yeah. Oh, Zach Levine? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it's one thing to see a post on Instagram of him looking like Booger McFarlane or him on Reddit, with a hoodie, but an actual commercial, and he had like his goatee, and I was like, that looking a little chunky. But besides that, I think it's okay. I think people can pump the brakes a little bit. He's still relatively young, and he also has played more games so far than Embiid did to begin his career, to give a little bit of context.
That's glass half full, though. There's another glass that may not be so great, considering he hasn't really played that much. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, he hasn't played that much, but again, more games than Embiid. And we look at where Embiid is now. He's still one of the greats when he's on the floor. So and maybe he might get one of these contract extensions that's, rife with a bunch of exceptions and stipulations on games played, etc. So I think that there is incentive for him to stay on the team. I think there's going to be incentive for him to get his weight down to a more manageable level. And they want to bring him back 100% healthy, because it doesn't benefit anybody, the franchise or himself, for him to come back on a 90% foot or to start exercising rigorously on a 90% foot. So he'll get healed. He might get a little chunky, but he'll be able to burn that off in no time. And I think that you just got to be patient. Unfortunately, yeah. And I think in New Orleans, that's a franchise that can afford to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. It's just like, it's not like it's like a thigh strain or something, or like a quad strain. It's a foot. So it's like he's going to constantly be putting pressure on that, and it's likely going to be like 280 pounds of pressure. And I just think about him landing and his explosiveness, and it's worrisome. I mean, we'll probably end up revisiting this conversation, because I'm kind of erring on the side that he's just going to miss the rest of the season. But yeah, we'll have to see. He really hasn't played that much in the beginning of his career, and I don't know if it's going to get better. I hope it does, because I think Zion is one of my favorite players to watch. But I am definitely concerned about what's going to happen with his career.